Affordability is emotional before it's mathematical. I got into the real estate industry in 2020 and I didn't get into it because houses were cheap or because the market was really hot, which it was increasingly getting hotter every year whenever I first got in. But I got into it because I kept watching good people freeze when what they wanted and the numbers contradicted each other. People weren't helping buyers see that affordability was possible because people were still arguing that homes were not affordable back then. People weren't saying that affordability was possible if you looked at things just a little bit differently. When affordability gets tight, people start looking at stats, charts, national data, and I totally get it because I do it too. I love a good spreadsheet, but the national data is still showing you what we already know, that rates are higher than they were in 2020, that affordability is elevated, but it's not historically catastrophic. And in the early 80s, payments for your home as a percentage of your monthly income were far worse than it is today. But historical data does not pay your bills. And that put your bootstraps on and get over it mentality is not helpful for people who are still feeling the crunch of needing affordable housing. I'm one of those people that locked in at a low rate. If I were to buy a house today at half the value of my home at today's interest rate, my monthly payment would go up by $200. And there are so many people in the country right now who are feeling that same thing. What would I sacrifice if I had to move right now? I would sacrifice square footage. I would sacrifice land. There's a lot of things that would end up being less than so that I could have a higher monthly payment. I would have to really feel the squeeze and have to be forced to move. That's what makes this time so strange right now, is that it's not like crisis level impossible for people to be able to buy houses right now, but it does feel very offensive compared to when people could get mortgages at 2.5%, 3.5%, anything really less than 4%. That cheap money rewired our brains in the way that we think about housing affordability and what leverage we can use to make housing more affordable. When rates were in the 2s and 3s, almost every house could make sense to somebody if they stretched themselves just a little bit further. It was also very temporary, and there were a lot of people who were screaming that from the rooftop. But now money costs something again, and when money costs more, the math is still working. It's just working for less people than it was in 2020, and quite frankly, I don't think that that's a terrible thing. In 2020, people were stretching themselves so far to be able to make something bigger and more happen. I mean, the greatest gap that I had in 2020 was $70,000. Like, we went $70,000 above the list price to make that happen. And that was happening everywhere. If you wanted a house, that was what you had to do because rates were so cheap. But what did that do to pricing? It shot that sucker up. Do we want that again? People were waiving inspections. We had emotional bidding happening, like not looking at the numbers and making sure that it made financial sense. We had people who were buying because they were afraid to miss out. The market was running hot because nearly everybody's spreadsheet said, yes, now's the time, go do it. Today, the spreadsheet says yes far less often. And when it does say yes, people do move. We still have houses here that will go multiple offer. If you price it right and you have enough people in that category who are saying yes consistently to a house, then you could have a little bit of a bidding war, not $70,000 bidding war, but just a little bit of a bidding war to secure whatever house that is. Why? Because when the math makes sense to the right buyer, they're going to say yes. Take a $325,000 house at 6.5%. That's pretty classic for a starter price point right now. With 5% down, you're looking like $2,200, $2,300 monthly payment price range. For someone renting at $2,000 per month, that move makes sense. For someone else, same house, same income, same rate, it might not. The house does not necessarily determine affordability. Your life typically does. The stability of your job does. Your debt load does. Your risk tolerance does determine affordability. And like I said, there's a lot of people who have the ability to say yes, which is why we're not seeing the market totally crash out right now. Affordability is not necessarily, can I afford a house? It's, can I afford this payment in this season of my life right now? I have mixed feelings about that. You know, we obviously want to buy a house for the best price possible, but at the end of the day, that monthly payment is what's going to determine whether or not I can actually make this thing happen or not. The market is not as dismal as one would probably have you believe. I have more buyers right now than I've had in, I mean, honestly, since probably 2022. I'm typically pretty seller heavy. But I mean, I've had buyers come out of the woodwork because they're looking at the numbers, they've prepped, they've planned, and they realize right now is a great time. It's affordable for me to make this happen right now. If you're feeling stuck, you might be right. You might be stuck, but you might also be comparing today to a time that was never sustainable. That's probably not going to come back. My job is not to convince you that the market is good or great or this is the best time to buy, like a blanket statement. My job is to sit down with you to help you determine, is it the right time for me to make this move right now? And I did the same thing back in 2020, 2021, all of this. I mean, there's been plenty of times where I've looked at people and said, you know what, maybe right now is not the right time. Maybe you need to do a couple of things first, and then once you do those things, then you're going to be able to do this really, really well. And right now, there are plenty of people who are saying, yes, it's the right time. I can make this happen. It might not be that you really are stuck. It might be that you're not asking the questions the right way. If you're not looking at it through the lens of 2026, then absolutely you're going to feel like all of this is dismal. So we look at the numbers and we decide, if the numbers are right, if the math makes sense, if the feeling is good, then we move. And if not, we make a plan and we wait. But we do it because we're clear on what's happening right now and we're not comparing it to what could have been or what might be. This was day 3 of my 66-day challenge to post on YouTube every single day for at least 5 minutes. And this was the first time that I've actually talked about the real estate market. I talk about a lot of things. I've got homeschool. I'm a work from homeschool mom. I talk about the real estate market. I talk about story brand. I talk about messaging in your marketing. And I mean, some of it's just like off the wall life stuff that's happening. We're going on a cruise. I'll probably post about it a little bit too, but my goal is to remain consistent, 66 days, 5 minutes minimum per day. Thank you for being here with me, and I will see you tomorrow.